Hey guys, here with a new hero on Korean Lost Saga. This is known as Zeus, the mighty Greek god. So it is a rare legendary character, so it is a little bit more expensive and for a limited time only. So let's check him out here. Hero 137, I believe. So 4-hit basics, 4th hit will launch. You can easily follow up with it, and it will put shock status on someone as well. Another bonus behind these basics is that it is not deflectable, so you can pressure really well on Zeus, so it is really nice for that. So moving on to your hold D. Your hold D, it utilizes your passive meter. As you hold D, you charge up and extend your range on your little lightning bolt javelin, and if you let it rip, it will go through someone and send shockwave pulses on the ground. If you connect with it directly, it will do a feint, but the shockwaves will still come out and shock them onto the ground. So your feint will not last long even if you connect with it, so you need to do quick follow-ups if anything. So yeah, you'll have to be mindful of that. When you throw this out, the shockwave pulses travel northwest, east, and south initially, and then kind of spread out in the other diagonal directions. So neat stuff there, and this is loopable as well. So if you land it on someone on the ground, or just knock them down, you can loop it. However, there is a balancing measure for this. It will put a little ball on someone and they will emit electricity, and it will lock out your hold D at that point. It only lasts as briefly, so you can end up going back into your hold Ds a little bit after, but it's like a anti-infinite measure, which is kind of useful even despite that, because as you got that ball on them, they will emit electricity and shock their teammates. And 1v1s, that's probably not a good thing though. But even if they get this ball on them, you can still end up hitting them with basics and everything else. So you're not completely locked out, they're just locked out to your hold D, and they got an invulnerability shield to your hold D. So not too bad there. One other thing before we move on, your hold D, if fully charged, will guard break. So that's one thing to keep in mind as well. And it gets more pulses on the full charge as well, if I didn't mention that. So moving on, dash attacks. So your light dasher, you launch yourself into the air, and if you connect with someone, you will launch them up into the air with you, and they'll have shock status on themselves. So pretty nice there. However, the range is kind of weak. It's kind of weird range. It's not the best range, but it does put electricity status on them, and you can follow up with your jump attacks as well. You can actually do this after your basic attack as well. It will do a bounce down, so not too bad there. You can connect people in the air. I'm pretty sure it's pretty good anti-air. It looks like it's got really good hitbox on it for anti-air measures, but hard to test that by myself in my own HQ without nothing jumping. So yeah, not too bad there. You also have your hold D dasher, which is basically like your hold D, only it does one little pulse instead of a big pulse like your regular hold D. So that's your regular hold D pulse, a lot of directions. That's your dash hold D pulse, just northwest, east, and south. But yeah, it still ends up feinting, so you can still go into stuff off that. But it's not as good as the hold D, but it is quicker and has a set range, so it can be useful. Can be very useful. It's not too bad. So moving on, your jump attacks. You have a 2-hit jumper, 1, 2. The first hitbox on the first attack is pretty decent. It will hit pretty well if you do it really quickly on someone. Second one, it's got a little bit weaker hitbox, a little bit higher, but if you delay it, you can end up getting a nice feint. So both of those attacks half feint. The second one puts electricity status on them for a half feint, so that's probably easier to follow up with. I'm sure you could probably, if you were quick enough, do the quick version, but it seems like the hitbox is a little bit too high for the feint follow-up, but tricky. And the first one doesn't do the electricity status on the quick trigger. There it is. So yeah, that's pretty good there. That's pretty good. Good mix-ups, and you can end up with a nice feint on someone. So pretty nice. You also have your air hold D, which is basically the same thing once again with the set direction and little pulse, and that can be very nice for setting up stuff as well. So not too bad at all. So let's go down here with our robot friends and show off the counterattack, which he does have. So counterattack, pretty simple, straightforward. Slide behind them, and after you slide behind them, you'll do a little snap and half feint them with the counterattack. You can follow this up with your dash light D dasher and get a nice combo out of it. So not too bad there, not too bad at all. And I believe that's your only defensive measure, so you're pretty much out of luck if you're getting pressured pretty badly. unless you use different gears. So let's check out his skills here. Weapon skill. Throw out these little lightning bolts, which, how many is that? Let's see. Looks like about 7, and each of these will shock your opponent, and that means you can do some attacks in between it and get some easy free damage off that. So not too bad there, not too bad. It will hit grounded as well, so useful as a combo resetter. So not too bad at all. That's pretty decent. Doesn't have the best range on it, it doesn't seem, but it's a nice little quick attack there. So yeah, it'll hit multiple people as well, so not too bad at all. So moving on to your armor skill. Armor skill, you turn into a little storm cloud, and when you hit your D key, you'll throw out little lightning bolts. If you mash, it's just going to keep going and going and going. And let's wait for it to recharge here. It seems like a pretty slow charge, and you can trigger it in the air as well. And it'll do nice shock status on people. So this is useful as a ground pickup again, but you probably don't want to trigger it in the air if you're using it as a ground pickup for yourself. Looks like a good team play gear in my opinion. So yeah, it'll put shock status on people on the ground. It won't pick them up. So yeah, you'll have to kind of watch out for that so you don't mess up and waste the skill. So not too bad there, not too bad. Nice AoE. Your helmet, you disappear, turn into a little circle. This is your max range when you have the circle. You only have so much time to trigger that, and it brings up a little passive meter as well once you trigger this. So if you trigger it, you can mash it 12 times in a row. If you don't mash it, you'll lose it. So make sure you begin the mashing once you do this. So throw out 12 lightning bolts, and it will put nice shock status on people. And that does last a while. That lasts longer than Gadokachi's shock trinket. So let's go ahead and trigger it on a little bit of a crowd here. Pretty decent. Actually, it doesn't seem like it's shocking very much on the regular characters. That was a little bit strange there. Huh. Maybe you can toggle out of it. It's very curious. I don't know. I'll have to investigate that further sometime. If that doesn't work that well on regular players, that would be kind of disappointing. Oh well. Moving on. Can't dwell on that. Trinket skill. So trinket skill, you fly around with wings. You can ascend. You can descend. And if you fly around someone, they'll shock them with the lightning bolts. It does last quite a while as well, so it is pretty decent. Works a little bit like Lucifer wings as well. If you run through them, you will do little hits on them. I don't believe it goes into a feint or anything, but pretty free damage and nice pressure as well. It can help your teammates immensely. So yeah, you can be doing this, and you can have a friend be using like a desperado or a sudden attack or something, and just, you know, shoot them all day long. That would be pretty impressive. You know, this will not hit grounded, however. Actually, it might hit grounded. I didn't even realize that. What did I just do? So yeah, I guess it does help with air resets if you hit someone in the airborne. But let's see if they're full knockdown status. I should test this stuff better, but I get too excited. So yeah, it doesn't seem like it ground picks up or anything, but you can use it off a launcher, and that would be pretty nice for some free damage and pressure. Not too bad. So yeah, that Zeus guy is a really cool character. Not what I really expected from a character based off Zeus, but you know, it's okay. I kind of like it. I like not being able to be deflected, and this attack here is very useful for that end. And you know, you have pretty nice dasher. Not the best range on it, however. Your whole D is obviously going to be the main show. You know, doing these ground shock waves over and over. That'll give your teammates plenty of time to do things as well. Even though you get locked out after a couple of hits with that little invulnerability ball, you'll still end up doing some pretty decent damage and keeping people pinned on the ground. So yeah, I would say this is a really great team-oriented character, but it can stand on its own pretty well as well. A lot of great things about it, you know, that the jump attacks are pretty darn decent. Being able to just, you know, pressure with that is pretty decent. So that's not too bad at all. I like the, you know, the lightning bolts especially. So yeah, Zeus, guys, not too bad, not too bad. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and we shall see you next time.
Release the Kraken!